Sir, if I may start. There has been a widespread degeneration observable all over the world in many countries, but particularly in this country, it seems that we are reaching a point of crisis where the very survival of this culture seems to be in jeopardy. But reflective minds have come to realize that though there is a great deal of attention being paid to the misuse of resources like water pollution and the pollution of air and all the other forms of pollution, basic to this is a certain degeneration at the very source of the human mind, at the source of the human brain. Would it be possible for us to explore whether this source of degeneration can be traced, can be located, and a process of cleansing it be found? Whether there is an alternative process of regeneration upon which we might come in trying to discover the nature and extent of this vast process which seems to be bringing the entire civilization of our times to an end.
I'll come in a little later, you carry on.
If I may go into that question, what Vardhanji has raised, the question of degeneration, which seems to be everywhere, but here it seems to be more than anywhere else. This question was asked last year, and it has set quite a few people thinking. I have gone into this question, and I should like to say, before we go into this question, with regard to this culture, this Indian culture, whether we love. I'm asking this very important question because this is fundamental to the question that has been raised now. The word love seems to be a rare word in our culture. In Rig Veda, in the Upanishads, and even in the Gita, there is no mention of the word love. Now, coming down to the anthropological reality of language, I speak two languages, Telugu and Kannada. In these two languages, and I think it is true of most of the Indian languages, there is no verb of love. We borrow a word, a Sanskrit word, and we add a suffix to it and make it into a verb. This is true of two languages that I know. For instance, we have this word prema, and we use the suffix isu or madu, which is premisu or prema madu, which is love do. That's how we use the term. And I think even in Hindi, I think the people who know that language should correct me. The usual word that we come across, even in the films, is this prem karna, mohabbat karna. Once again, it is, we use a word do. We borrow the word from Sanskrit, love, and we say love do. And I think it's a very serious kind of lack with us. We know there are certain cultures where they don't have the word lie. They are so primitive, perhaps they are so primitively honest that don't have the need to prevaricate, to tell a lie. And we also know last year that among the Eskimos they don't have this word competition. So if we in this culture had the need of the word of love, how is it that we don't have this word? Does it point to something very fundamentally serious? A certain very profound lack in us? I should like to discuss this.
I think this would sidetrack the discussion altogether, because our whole question must be focused on what is. You have yourself began by a statement that we don't have this. When we don't have it, anything we say about it just speculative. So I say set it aside for the time being. Let us start with where we are, which is that we accept the fact of degeneration. And if we knew the causes, we would deal with it. So I say we do not know the causes of degeneration. Is it possible for us to start our exploration with a mind which says, I see the fact of degeneration, I don't know its causation. I am willing to explore.
Can I?
I think this is too fast for me, because when a carpenter begins his work in the morning, he sharpens his chisels and examines his hammer. And I'm wondering if we can do the same thing at this time before we get into the content as to what we are going to make. What is it that really is our tool that the carpenter has? This would be my interest.
What
as
would you
Krishnamurti
consider
Foundation.
the tools of inquiry?
I'm sorry?
What would you consider the tools of inquiry?
Yes, this is what I like to
What
find
would you-
out.
What would you consider?
Personally, I think it's been indicated, along with the observation of the problem, and that is the human brain.
No, the tool. That is the brain the tool of inquiry?
I think so, but perhaps
No,
someone
if
has
the brain
greater...
is the tool of inquiry, and the inquiry is into the movement of the brain, then is it that the tool inquires into its own?
This is the characteristic for the human mind or brain, to really be an observer for itself.
I concede your point. All that I say was that I open a map and then I say that we start from a point which is shared by all of us. That there is this fact. You cannot explain it away. The fact of a very rapid process of degeneration which might almost threaten the survival of this culture. I start with this and I say, is it possible for us, without any other hypothesis, to explore in such a way that we can discover whether it is possible to cleanse the brain of that source from which this pollution starts?
But taking these two questions together, is it possible to say, are the tools which are available to us adequate to view even this pollution as it were? Are they adequate to even go into the nature of pollution? If they are of the essence of pollution themselves, can they investigate the pollution? And therefore, can we investigate the tools? I think that is
Yes, precisely. The carpenter has to examine what sort of tool he has, what he needs. He has to sort it out, the chisel, the hammer, and whatnot. What do we have today, at this moment in time, to examine precisely the question that has been raised?
I was wondering whether really that might be even a more difficult question. that is the question of the tools themselves. Whether one can take up something which we can see, open the map as it were, and get to an area where we see disorder, shall we say, and then ask what flows from that, and see what sort of causes and so on. But there was one point I was thinking about this question of degeneration itself. Somehow it seems to import a sort of time scale. For instance, one can look at the same facts and say that it is not degeneration but it's an evolutionary process or something like that. Clearly there is a disorder, perhaps. There is disorder, yes.
So
But
you have
degeneration.
moved away. I'm sorry, but you have moved away from the examination of the tool.
I have,
You're
I know I
talking
have.
about the
I know I
making
have.
of it.
But I am doing it with, I was wondering whether the examination of the tools by itself takes us anywhere.
I don't think the two questions are independent of each
That's
other.
right. It's not.
And speaking of the tool, I think the language is a very important tool.
I don't want to bring in any issues to prejudice the inquiry. That's why I did not raise the question of any tool for it. But I say, I discovered that the tool is inadequate. I put it aside.
But before you do that, he says, what are the tools of inquiry and what are we examining?
I will say that I can only open the map that there is this very rapid process of degeneration which threatens survival. Now, how do we understand it?
Suppose I disagree with your observation.
You disagree that there is a degeneration?
Suppose I do, then
You
the
can't
question
suppose. Either you say there is no degeneration, not suppose.
If
So
you
what-
say there is no degeneration, this problem is a totally imaginary. That is one position which is quite
No,
arguable, but I feel
But
that
Ratuji, you must see his point of Dr. Kare. There is some validity in that point. That is, we are stating that there is a state of degeneration. You are stating that there is a deep state of degeneration, both outside and within. That it is part of the very condition of man today. The degenerative process having been, in a way, the process having itself accelerated, and therefore degeneration being at our doorstep and within one. He says, with what will you inquire into this? Because unless you ask yourself the question, with what you will inquire, you will keep on going round within the circle of degeneration. So the question is not incorrect.
as I see it, man is continuing a process of technological advancement which is gathering momentum, and he is caught up in that process, so that at one end he seems to be really advancing, but at the core is decaying. And this decay at the core is the cause of all the conflicts, all the confusion, all the disintegration of society that we see. And I say, is it possible not to be taken up, not to be caught up in the illusion that because man has gone to the Saturn, etc., or sent a satellite to the Saturn, not to be caught up in a phony movement which seems to be progress, but to come to the source, which is that at the root something is dying, and that is something vital, which has given meaning. When we start this inquiry, I want to start it with minimal assumptions, minimal presuppositions, and the tools will reveal themselves. No tool is barred.
Don't you think it is a...
What is the real intention of regeneration? That is not very clear to me.
What is the intention of degeneration?
What about we are speaking of regeneration? we are speaking of regeneration, only a process of change that always exists, that we may call a regeneration or we may call it evolution. And also we are speaking of the tools of examination. If we are attacked in the differentiation of the tools of examination and the degeneration as a separate thing, then we may not be arrived at any conclusion.
Agree.
So I think we should approach the question with some different angle and different viewpoint.
May I also interrupt? I think we are more or less, all of us have agreed there is degeneration, there is corruption, morally, intellectually, and almost physically. There is chaos, confusion, there was growing misery, growing despair, where to think is full of sorrow. Now, do we approach this present condition as a Christian, or as a Buddhist, or as a Hindu, Vedantist, Islam, and so on and so on? Or do we approach this problem without taking any stand, without taking any position as a communist who goes up to a certain point, he agrees that sorrow is the burden of mankind. But he says to change that sorrow, you must recondition society. So if we could put aside, if I'm respectfully suggesting this, if we could put aside all our stands or positions, then perhaps we could be able to look at the problem clearly. The problem is fairly simple. Knowledge, either in the technological world or knowledge in the psychological world, knowledge which is handed down both scientifically in the technological world and knowledge handed down through tradition, through books and so on, may be knowledge, may be the root of all this. I'm proposing this. Please discuss this. I'm not laying the speaker has no position. He doesn't take any position as a Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, or any other communist, socialist, and all the rest of it. One perceives this chaos throughout the world. Mismanagement economically, socially, at the government level, at the poorest, lowest level, there is utter confusion and despair, uncertainty. Right, sir? Now, that is the problem. How do we approach it? Right, Achuji?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why I did not want to posit any other problem about which tools we should use, which tools we should reject. I said all this will reveal itself in the ongoing process of the inquiry if the inquiry is sustained by a critical, skeptical spirit, which is quite clear that I do not have any answer to this degeneration with me. If I imagine that I have read Vedanta and the answer is in this, or if I imagine that I have Marxism and there is an answer in this, and there is some only modifications are necessary, and that something has, we need a revival in which some dead wood should be cut. That means we are starting with some kind of a conditioning which one is willing to modify under the compulsion of the inquiry. This position, I feel, would vitiate our inquiry. Therefore, I did not want to say anything beyond stating the problem which is based on a fact of observable fact, and in the course of the inquiry, the limitation of each tool will reveal itself.
But Krishnamurti has brought in a very a statement, an element into this inquiry which you had posited, which demands a great deal of examination. That is, that knowledge per se, technological knowledge, skill, see the implications of it, technological knowledge, skill, all that the human brain has acquired through millennia is itself the source of the degeneration. And am I, when I say I can, first I must take that challenge. He has put a challenge into the situation. And how do I respond to that challenge?
That challenge may be utterly wrong.
No, I must respond to it. I must either
One must be
discover the truth of it or the...
I still say that perhaps we are anatomically, biologically, physiologically inadequate to deal with the situation, social, economic, political, and we don't have, I'm afraid to use the word, appropriate tools. Because obviously we've created a behemoth all over the world, not just in India, but the pollution in Madras is not as bad as in Los Angeles. There is more killing than this pollution. What I'm suggesting perhaps is we can really see if there is a root cause to all of this.
That's
And
what that's what we're asking ourselves, sir.
And Krishna
What is
ji
the root cause
I would
What
go
is
with you
it?
the whole way.
What's that?
I would agree with what he said now.
That is, what is the root cause of it? Let's stick to that for the
Yes.
moment. Not introduce word like tools and all the rest.
all right, root cause.
And what is the root cause? The root cause. We are not examining the symptoms.
No.
We all know the symptoms. Can we find out through skeptical investigation what is the root of all this?
The effect of knowledge to our mind or to our brain is to be examined, I think.
Yes, sir.
And then the root cause, perhaps from somewhere, maybe find out. Our approach, our consideration about knowledge, acquiring knowledge, under the conditions of the knowledge and tradition, we put our mind far from the reality. And what is the effect of knowledge to our mind, which perhaps could be discussed more clearly.
Could we discuss, if I may suggest, what do we mean by the word knowledge? Sir, I beg your pardon. Sorry.
सारी समस्याओं के दो बिंदु हैं, एक व्यक्ति, दूसरा समाज। व्यक्ति भी कारणों से बनता है, समाज भी कुछ कारणों से बनता है। व्यक्ति के बनाने में जैसे व्यक्ति कारण है स्वतंत्र, वैसे ही समाज भी कारण है। इसलिए व्यक्ति का निर्माण स्वतंत्र भी है, पराधीन भी है, समाज के अधीन भी है। समस्याएं समाज की तरफ से, चाहे वह ज्ञान की समस्या हो, संस्कृति की समस्या हो, धर्म की समस्या हो, सभी अधिकांश समाज की तरफ से व्यक्ति तक पहुंच रहे हैं। इस हालत में व्यक्ति स्वयं है और समाज है।
There are two sides to this, two points from which we look at this problem. One is the individual and the other is society. Problems arise in the individual and problems arise in society and they confront the individual. The individual in himself is partly an entity in himself, but largely he is the product of society. So,
उसका भी कुछ हिस्सा उसका भी है।
I think there are people who know Hindi very well.
she'll do it much better. She'll do it better.
What Jagannath Upadhyay has said is that we have to begin this inquiry from 2 points. One, the individual and the society. The individual has one dimension, which is an intrinsic dimension, and there he is free, the word that he used for him. At the same time, there is the other dimension of the individual, which is in constant interaction with society. And in order to examine the question, therefore, he wishes to draw our attention to the problems of the individual and the society first separately, then the individual in relation to himself on one level, the individual in relation to society on the other level, and the relationship of the processes within the society, and that is.
इसके साथ मैं एक बात और कहना चाहता हूँ कि बहुत पुराने समय की बात न करें, इधर 300-400 वर्ष की बात अगर करें विश्व के संदर्भ में, तो कभी व्यक्ति को महत्व दे दिया जाता है, कभी समाज को महत्व दे दिया जाता है। लेकिन व्यक्ति भी एक सीमा के बाद महत्वशाली नहीं है और समाज भी एक सीमा के बाद महत्वशाली नहीं है। इस स्थिति में एक साथ व्यक्ति और समाज दोनों का विश्लेषण होना चाहिए और उसकी समस्याओं को परस्परापेक्ष दृष्टि से उसका विश्लेषण करना चाहिए।
He wishes us not to go back into the ancient past but he's confining himself to the last 300 or 400 years of civilization and the problems that have arisen in civilization during the last 300-400 years. And he believes that if we do that, perhaps we might be able to identify the causes. And in this, he wants to stress that it is the nature of the relationship between the individual and the society. And what are the moments when the individual acquires a greater importance, and what are the moments when society acquires greater importance, and what is the nature of that relationship with one to the other, and where the balances are disturbed. Earlier he had made one other statement which is probably relevant to what he has said now, and that is that the transmission of whether it is knowledge or experience, that also has to be seen in relation to these 2 points that he has made.
May I question whether there is individual at all. I question, when I say I question, I'm not asserting anything. I question whether society is not an abstraction. What is actually is human relationship with each other. You may call that relationship society, but the fact is relationship between him and another, intimate or otherwise. Now, let's begin to find out whether we are individuals or we are programmed to think we are individuals, which has been encouraged by all the religions, the soul according to the Christians, and so on, so on. So I question very deeply whether the concept of an individual is actual. You may think you are an individual, and you act as an individual, and all the problems arising out of that concept as an individual, and then you pose the question, society and the relationship. But society may be an total abstraction. What is real, actual, is the relationship between two human beings, which creates the whole monstrous society.
Does this word
just, I don't know, you translate it to
no, he understands English. He only doesn't speak.
Forgive me if I
No, I think that is fine. But इसके
कुछ
इसका नहीं कहना चाहेंगे आप? हाँ जी हाँ कहिए.
You are implying then that all relationship is correct because
yes.
For every individual, the relationship is between what he considers to be himself as an individual and others.
That's the whole point.
And the otherness of the other.
Of course, that's the
he
whole.
identifies as the
no
otherness.
relationship which is not correct.
That's my whole point.
That is the real point which must be, we all must be try to understand.
जी हाँ कुछ कहो तो पता है.
कहिए.
व्यक्ति का जो अस्तित्व है समाज का उसी प्रकार का भिन्न अस्तित्व है.
वो तो ये कह रहे हैं आपसे, if I may sir with your
हाँ, कि
permission.
दोनों
जी
दो
नहीं, वो तो
व्यक्तियों
ये
के बीच में
आपसे जो वो प्रश्न पूछ रहे हैं, वो आपसे दो प्रश्न उन्होंने पूछे हैं.
हाँ, जी.
उन्होंने एक प्रश्न आपसे ये पूछा है कि क्या व्यक्ति का जो अस्तित्व है वो यथार्थ है या नहीं.
जी.
और दूसरा प्रश्न वो आपसे पूछ रहे हैं कि जिस समाज की बात आप कर रहे हैं वो समाज, वो यथार्थ, वो तो केवल एक आपका विचार है, और इसलिए वो ये कह रहे हैं कि आपका एक ये विचार है कि एब्स्ट्रैक्शन है वो। तो इसलिए आपको जो अंतर, आप तो आप ये मान के चल रहे हैं कि एक व्यक्ति है और एक समाज है।
जी,
आपने जो बहुत मौलिक प्रश्न रखे हैं वो ये कि व्यक्ति का जो अस्तित्व है उसकी जो परिभाषा है, वो परिभाषा जो कि राधा जी ने ये कहा कि जो आप अपने व्यक्ति के प्रति आपका जो अपना विचार है उसको देख के आप दूसरे के प्रति आपका जो संबंध स्थापित होता है, लेकिन आपका अपने प्रति ही एक जो संबंध है वो व्यक्ति के प्रति वो संबंध सत्य का संबंध नहीं है। तो इसलिए उन्होंने ये कहा कि आपका जो दूसरा संबंध बनता है वो असत्य का संबंध बनता है।
जी,
उसका आप उत्तर दीजिए।
मैं उसी बात को स्पष्ट कर रहा हूँ कि ऐसा नहीं है कि समाज व्यक्ति के तरह से हो, उनके स्वभाव में अंतर है, किंतु दो अस्तित्व हैं, व्यक्ति भी नहीं है। अगर व्यक्ति होता तो कृष्ण जी व्यक्तित्व का विलोप नहीं कहते, इसलिए व्यक्ति भी नहीं है। व्यक्ति वास्तव में नहीं है, किंतु व्यक्ति खड़ा हो गया है। समाज वास्तव में नहीं है, किंतु समाज खड़ा हो गया है। अब इन दो बिंदुओं के बीच में जो संबंध बन रहे हैं, यहाँ सारी समस्या है।
So what he has submitted is that the individual is not.
It's an illusion.
And there is.
He's agreeing to what I'm saying?
Yes. He has agreed.
Yes.
But he
Just
says
a minute,
that there is the delusion that he is.
What?
And that there are two level delusions that one is working on.
See, if I understand it, he says individual is not, but he deludes himself that he is.
That's what I said.
Society is not, but there is the delusion that society is.
Yes.
Now, while these two delusions of the individual existence and society's existence exists, this conflict between the two also must be resolved, if I understand. Am I right or not?
Is that correct?
Correct answer.
Do you understand that though the individual is an illusion and society is an illusion, we have made a reality out of it, and all the effects of it are felt. Is that what?
That's right. That's exactly
Is that what
We've
it's saying?
deluded ourselves, so it is a real thing.
It's a real thing, though from a more realistic or a deeper appreciation, it is illusion. But as we are in it, and it's real to us, all the effects of it are there.
Are you saying then, sir, are you saying then, all this, my brain which has been programmed, individual society and the individual right, individual freedom, individual expression, individual fulfillment, and society opposed to individual, community, all the conflict, are you admitting that the brain has been programmed? Don't call it an illusion.
Programmed, yes.
That is right.
It's programmed.
But now wait a minute, I'm finished. Programmed to think in this way.
Yes.
Therefore, it's not an illusion.
No, the program is real.
Program is the illusion, not
Sir, this is
the result.
This This is the
Sir,
most
sir,
vital
what did
point,
you say?
sir. This is the most vital point.
What is that? I forgot.
To say that the individual is an illusion, or to say that society is an illusion, is to say that we have created an imaginary problem which we are discussing speculatively. Actually, we are discussing an actual situation of man, the condition of man. The condition of man is a fact. The condition of man is that he is degenerating, that he is unhappy and in agony, in conflict and on the point of destroying himself.
Go on,
This
Machuji.
fact cannot be denied.
Achuji,
Now,
You're missing
to
my
this
point.
Krishnaji
Machuji
says-
is missing my point.
No,
Yes, sir.
Krishnaji says something very important. To the traditionalist he says, and to the Marxist he says.
to me he says.
No,
Not to
I
the
use
tradition.
these
Wait.
words. No, I use these words because he has brought in a word, program,
No, that is. No.
which I think is a very key word.
But
Go on,
Achuji,
go on.
please-
I don't follow
please
what
see
of-
this. He says the, the, the don't call it illusion. It is not illusion in that sense. The brain has not created it. The brain itself is that. Because it has been programmed to be that.
Would you kindly repeat what I said? I've forgotten what I said. Would you kindly repeat?
Very simple. You said that it is not an illusion, it is just programming.
Program.
programmed.
Yeah. Why do you call it an illusion? If you call it an illusion, then the program is the illusion. So if you admit programming the brain is illusion, you wipe out the whole thing. I don't know if you, would you kindly explain?
Now this word programming रीना जी देखिए आपसे जो आपने तो ये कहा कि उसका अस्तित्व नहीं है और ये सब हमने कल्पना कर ली या कि ये मिथ्या है कि व्यक्ति भी मिथ्या है और समाज भी मिथ्या है मूल में और उसका यथार्थ हम वास्तविकता उसकी मान के और ये सब समस्याएं पहले उत्पन्न करते हैं फिर उनका समाधान करने के लिए जो आप कह रहे हैं वो आप ये कह रहे हैं कि वो उस ढंग से ना उसका अंग्रेजी का जो शब्द इल्यूजन है उसका हिंदी में ना माया बनता है ना मिथ्या बनता है क्योंकि वो बीच की चीज़ बन लेकिन वो ये कह रहे हैं कि उसको आप डिल्यूशन नहीं कह के अगर ये कहें कि प्रोग्रामिंग तो उस ढंग से जैसे कि आप ये कहिए कि उसका जब आपने एक शास्त्र सा बना दिया जो आपका ब्रेन है उसका शास्त्रीकरण आपने इस ढंग से कर लिया जिसको कि कंप्यूटर की भाषा में programming करते हैं।
That's the computer is programmed and we are programmed.
We are programmed. That is what I'm trying
इनकी
to say.
परिभाषा में मैं ये कहूँगा कि जब संघात बनता है तो संघात का प्रतिफल होता है अहम। तो ये प्रक्रिया
मान
ही
करके ना आप
बहुत अच्छा। तो फिर आपकी बात जो है
मान करके ना कहें ये
No,
He wants to say something now.
जो समस्या हमेशा किसी सजेशन से कोई अवधारणा से समस्या बनती है हम व्यक्ति और समाज की शब्दावली जो शास्त्रीय हो चुकी है उसको हम कुछ देर तक
लेकिन
छोड़
वो तो
दें।
शास्त्रीय शब्दावली को ही उनका पहला प्रश्न ये है कि ये शब्दावली सही है या नहीं है उनका तो पहला प्रश्न ये है
मैं कह रहा हूँ कि अगर उसे इस बहस में न पड़ जाए अगर उसे हम छोड़ दें अगर हम उसे छोड़ दें तो संबंधों का प्रश्न
हाँ संबंधों के
संबंधों का प्रश्न उठता है संबंध क्या चीज है
Yes, Ram says, if I leave that, if I wipe that out, then what is relationship?
We must first, not if. Not when and if and all the conditional phrases which we use, but do we actually see the fact, not the theory of the fact, but the actual fact that we are not individuals.
मैं तो आपने आज तक जो बताया है उसके पृष्ठभूमि में अपनी बात को रख रहा हूँ। आपने आज तक यह बताया है कि व्यक्ति एक प्रकार का है और व्यक्ति को समाप्त करना होगा मन, विचार, परंपरा, धर्म, संस्कृति के अवधारणाओं को हटाकर व्यक्ति को समाप्त करना होगा। ये आपने बताया, इसलिए एक व्यक्ति की अवधारणा को हम पकड़ रहे हैं। आपने बताया कि एक संबंध होता है व्यक्ति का, बाहर से संबंध होता है, तो वो बाहर क्या है उसको मैं एक सहज शब्द में मैंने समाज कह दिया। मुझे इसमें कोई आग्रह नहीं है कि व्यक्ति और समाज शब्द को लेकर हम इन संबंधों का विचार करें, बल्कि समस्या संबंध है। समस्या संबंध है और वो संबंध बाहर है और भीतर है, और बाहर और भीतर के बीच में कहीं भेद नहीं है। बाहर को भी कभी देखता हूँ तो व्यक्ति, वो जो एक छोर का संबंध वहाँ देखता हूँ, जब दूसरी तरफ देखता हूँ तो उधर का संबंध देखता हूँ। तो ये दो, उन संबंधों को के लिए दो बिंदु स्पष्ट मालूम होते हैं। उसको हम एक तथ्य की दृष्टि से न स्वीकार करें, लेकिन संबंध के आधार पर स्वीकार करेंगे। और संबंध के अंदर कारणता का सिद्धांत है, कार्य कारण के सिद्धांत उसमें काम कर रहे हैं। संबंधों के बीच में किसी चीज में समाज जो बाहर से आ रहा है वह प्रधान, कहीं भीतर से बाहर को देख रहा हूँ, तो इस तरह से उसमें कार्य कारण का संबंध भी है। तो संबंध और उन संबंधों के बीच में कार्य कारण, मैं समझता हूँ कि ये मैंने जो पहले कहा वो आपके ने जैसा समझाया है उस आधार पर कहा। अब आप सिर्फ संबंधों पर समझाना चाहते हैं तो उस आधार पर भी समस्या वही है।
My very basic submission is still remain there. My point is that whenever we speak of a relationship, we always taking for granted there is 2 points in between which we speak about the relationship. So my summation is that before examining the relationship, we must examine the 2 points. Leaving the 2 points, speaking about relationship, then the whole process becomes a sort of academic and it becomes more complicated. So we must come back to the point.
I understand it, Jagannath Pandyaji said, and then this was a follow-up of that. That you have been saying that the self-centered activity, the individual, elaborated a little more, has to be negated at every point, has to be wiped out. Therefore, it has been brought up. But when we observe, whether it is the outer or the inner, the outer sometimes predominates, sometimes the inner predominates. But the interaction between the outer and the inner, that is the interaction between the two, let me bring it into, the interaction between the two is always evident. There is always an interaction between the two. You can call it individual and society, you can give it any name, but there is an interaction between the two.
I question that.
This is the point. Therefore, if you say wipe out the individual and just talk of relationship, as he said, as Rinpoche-ji said, you cannot do it because you have to examine the 2 points.
Yes, that's right, that's right. I'm not the only speaker here.
I have a question from Upadhyayji. Does this individual that you speak of, जो व्यक्ति बोलते हैं आप, does that include the animal? Animal is included?
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes.
Therefore,
of course,
because we are describing the symptom of this animalistic mind, let's put it this way. Therefore, you cannot say that we should talk about only 300, 400 year time period, but it goes back to the beginning when we were living on the trees.
What are the points? I don't quite follow this argument.
No, the whole point is that it is no use your saying that it is programmed. And you say it is programmed, and then where do we go from there?
I'll show you where we'll go from there if we move. But do we accept that?
No, cannot as long as there are two.
I question that.
So, sir, this is the basic difficulty.
Yes.
As long as there are two.
That is our question.
Yes, sir, that's our question.
You're saying it is programmed?
No, I'm saying there is only relationship.
Now, you're removing relationship out of the context of the two.
Yes.
You see, you're removing.
That is the brain relating itself to the past.
Who relating itself?
Brain itself relate. Brain is the past.
No. Then who is relating to whom?
It is not relating to anybody. It is functioning within its own circle, with its own area. This is obvious.
Sir, but my brain, this brain, is relating itself to the other brain of which it has certain similarities.
No,
When you see
what he's saying,
what he's saying, that you are never relating to another.
Never.
The brain itself creates the other and relates to that.
Yes, that's right. That's the whole point. Wait, let's get this clear. I'm not quite clear myself.
No, we have to get this.
He has said that the brain.
How do you repeat what I said? Would you mind?
Just now what was said.
I'm repeating.
No, just now what was
I'll
said.
come to what you said.
Yeah,
No,
please. Just a minute.
Just now what was said. Just now what was said.
May I say something so that
He wants you to repeat what he said first.
you are saying that there is no relationship because the brain creates the other and then relates. In fact, there is only the human brain.
Sir, I don't. No. The brain is only concerned with itself. Right? Its own security, its own problems, its own sorrow, its own. And the other is also. But the brain is never related to anything. There is no other. The other is the image created by thought, which is the brain. I don't know if...
I see that. I see that.
Let's go slowly, sir. Let's go slowly.
You are saying that relationship itself is part of the programming.
No, I wouldn't call it program. Move away from that word for the moment. I am the.
There is no other.
That's
There
right.
is no relationship.
That's no. There is no relationship.
Yes, relationship is always between two.
But there is no relationship. I've said that.
Yes. That is the
You
point.
mean the other does not exist?
There is no other.
There is no other.
Wait.
You exist.
Yes.
You exist. But my relationship with you is created by the image I have created about you.
That is
Therefore, my relationship is with the image which I have. Therefore, it is my brain which, etc., etc., etc.
The whole happening is within my brain.
Oh, obviously,
Everything is
Paul,
within my
it's so
brain.
clear.
So is there a part of the brain that is also questioning it?
Wait, sir, wait. No, let's get this clear first before we go into a little more. Is this clear, sir? My relationship to you is based on the thought which I have about you. The image which I have created about you. The relationship is not with you, with the image which I have. Therefore, there is no relationship.
Yes, very clear. Very clear.
My God, do you realize, Pupul,
Very clear.
I know. Pupulji, do you realize what we are saying? That's a tremendous. I don't think I capture it. Yeah.
Very clear.
No, sir, it's clear, but I don't think we see the immense significance of it.
What I do not understand, sir, is how does the programming...
Oh, no, the programming comes in the sense that, sir, the computer is programmed. It will believe in God, it will believe in the Vedas, it will believe in this, that, the other thing. It will say there is God, if there is no God, it will say anything that has been told to it. That is the programming. My brain has also been programmed that way. I'm a Hindu, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, I don't believe. You follow?
Yes.
So let's leave that for the moment. We are saying, is that correct? That there is no other, and therefore there is no relationship with the other.
Sir, I question this.
Wait, sir, just a minute, let me finish. You will question as much as you like. I'm just examining it, please. I may be wrong. You follow? I don't think I'm wrong. I'm going to stick to this. Prove to me that I'm wrong. Then I'll change. My brain, the brain, which is the common brain of humanity, right? It's not my brain. It's the common brain of humanity. The common brain which has existed for 5-10 million years, had through experience, knowledge, etc., etc., that brain has established for itself an image about the world and the image about my wife. Right? The wife is only a means of my pleasure, my loneliness, she doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned, she exists as an image in me, which I have created, thought is created. Therefore, there is no relationship. If I admit that, not admit it, but actually see it and change the whole movement, then perhaps we'll know what love is. Then I have a relationship. No, then relationship is totally different.
Sir, I question this position.
No, it's not a position.
No, this statement.
Ah,
You have stated No, sir, you have stated something as though it is a description of a fact.
It's a description to communicate a fact to me.
That's right. Now I say...
No, wait, question the fact,
Sir, that is
not
what
the
I am-
description.
No, I am questioning the fact. I say the fact is that the world is full of so many people. They are divided into nationalities. They have divided them into various things. I cannot permit an oversimplification of a situation in which the problem itself is reduced to what is happening within me. Because I say something is happening outside, something is happening within me, and there is an interaction, and that is the problem.
Then you are saying the world, that is not the nature, not the beauty of the earth.
man.
Man. You are saying, as far as I understand, that there is interaction between the psychological world and my world. Right? This is what you're implying. I said there is only one world, my psychological world.
Sir, your psychological world
It's not oversimplification. On the contrary.
If I may, you said that my relationship with my wife is my idea or whatever. But how does that image come?
Oh, that's
For
right.
the coming of the image, there should be the individual. There's a point of triggering of that image.
No, sir. Look, sir.
I'm sorry. There's a point of triggering that image.
Huh?
You see, a wife out there, I have created an image of her. For the creation of the image, she has to be there as an object.
No.
But something has to trigger that.
Sir, look. My wife, I married her. She's there. I have a sexual relationship with her. That sexual relationship is recorded. Record. It is a sensory reaction, sensual reaction, recorded. So I have created, that becomes the center of my senses. I'm right, please.
If I may, sir, before I meet my wife,
There's the, sir, follow it up from the animal.
yes, sir.
The procreation instinct is there. That's the biological instinct.
Yes, sir. Before the recording takes place, there is a meeting. I am coming to that point. There is a meeting of an unknown individual.
A woman.
A woman, yes, woman.
Don't call it an unknown individual.
Woman. And
With a name and a form. Carry on.
before this process is set in motion,
Huh?
before this process, whatever process is set in motion, there has to be a physical object.
There is. The woman is there.
And that's, what is that?
What? I don't follow.
My point is, you have now taken away the object.
I have not.
Not taking away.
Before the process is set in
Sir,
motion.
look, sir. There is that woman. Let's face simple facts, sir. There is that woman.
Yes.
Woman. And man. The woman, the man is attracted sexually, sensorily.
That is sensory. Forgive me, I think there
Yes,
is
sir.
one.
Yes, sir. This precisely implies, if you can go into it very scientifically, attraction implies two things.
Huh?
Attraction implies an object.
I said, sir, there is a woman and there is a man.
If I may say so, there is. I don't think
I'm not questioning, sir.
No, but I don't think that there is a. I don't think the question that six human beings exist is being questioned.
No, that's the point of discussion, because it says the whole thing is a process of...
See, it's not that the six human beings are being saying that there are no six human beings. But the degeneration is not the fact of six human beings. Degeneration is what is
taking place here.
My idea of what you are.
Process of recording, responding from that recording.
To which I say that this is an oversimplification because there is an interaction between individuals.
Between two human, woman and man.
No, between woman and man. Between
Stick to
Russian
that.
and
So
American.
don't stick to, for the moment, woman and man.
All right. So the trouble is that the moment you reduce it to two individuals instead of to a group of individuals,
I'm going to
so the
later on. I can. The whole world is. I can come to that, but begin with that, sir.
Sir, I feel that the moment you use the word interaction,
I am not using the word. You are using the word.
Actually, I would like to ask you one thing. Anyone who has observed the mind in operation sees the validity of what he said. I'm not going beyond that. I'm saying the validity of this, that you may be physically a human being, but you, in terms of me, exist as an image in my brain. And my relationship is to that image in my brain.
my point
Therefore, there is no interaction. Therefore, there is no you to be I interact with.
You see, that is where I have a starting difficulty at the starting point. I say that unless you accept the existence of the other individual as valid an entity as you yourself,
I said
no
that.
relationship.
Puli, that's not the. Yeah, you explain it, madam. Fight him. Go on, madam.
Please do. Because
Alexi.
what I say is that if you were to say that me, my image, my reaction to that image, the moment you do this, you are by implication devaluing or negating what arises as a challenge from the other. Because what arises as a challenge from the other is as great a reality as my own urges or responses. My urges and responses are no more valid than that of the other person.
I suppose this is a very valid point because you are taking away the object which sets something in motion, which is a reality.
No,
I would
let
like
us
to
yes.
I think there is a difference.
Any of you can answer. She can answer.
Now, the main thing is, if I understand it right, the brain creates its own image and is related to that image, and that makes for a great deal of difficulties and prevents real relationship. That is the point. In fact, when the brain is related to its own image, all the problems are caused and there is no interaction.
No, sir.
And if there has to be interaction, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Right kind of relationship, unless this ceases, the other is interpreted according to my convenience and comfort.
Of course, it's so simple.
But the moment you use the word programming,
I've moved away from it.
you have moved away from it, sir. But what happens is
No, but
that
you
you
are-
talked of the brain.
No,
No, I say is the movement arising with the image sui generis in the brain, or is it a response to a challenge from outside? I say it's a response to a challenge from outside.
Yeah.
What are you saying? The response is in the brain.
Is in the brain.
How can it be?
So there is
Sir, may I just little one word? The center of the brain is all the reactions of sensory reactions. I see a woman. No. I see a woman, all the sensory responses awaken. Then the brain creates the image, the woman, the man sleeping, all the sex, all that business.
Food.
Or,
Food also.
Food, all right. Oh, for God's sake.
More important.
I hope not South Indian food or North Indian food or yesterday's. Let's get on with it. Where am I? The sensory responses is stored in the brain. The brain then reacts as thought through the senses, memory and all the rest of it. Then this sensation meets a woman. And all the responses, biological responses, take place. Then the image is created. The image then becomes all important, not the woman. The woman may be necessary for my pleasure, for my etc., 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 but there is no relationship with her except physically. That's simple enough.
Then the question.
There is a certain fear lurking in my mind, which I must express, that is this a process of refined self-centeredness?
It is. I am saying that.
But if it is a process of refined self-centeredness, it immediately raises before me the nightmare of the Muslims who have denied existence to the woman altogether.
No. That come off it. No Muslim can do that. He's a cuckoo if he does that. If he said, woman must be kept in the background, but I have the image, what are we talking about?
Can we take one more step? Can there be a mental relationship?
What?
Mental.
What do you mean mental?
Images can be refined, modified, manipulated.
Of course, the brain is doing that all the time.
As time moves. So there can
The brain is doing that all the time.
No, but I think
We are moving away from...
keep to the central point. The real question then arises, and I would like to ask Krishnaji, what is the action, or what is the challenge, or what is that which triggers
What?
the ending of this image-making machinery so that direct contact is possible?
Yes.
What is that? What is that?
I will find that. I go with you. The whole
Wait, let me understand it.
I say, instead of moving, I say the central fact being so, and I think this is pretty obvious that it is so.
Yes, sir.
What is the trap we are caught in is, we say it is so, but we continue in the same.
That is the real question.
Therefore,
Why is the brain so mechanically functioning this way?
no, then I ask you, what is the action? What is the challenge? What is
Yeah.
that which will end
Break it.
this? Yes. So that there is direct contact.
That's all.
Yes.
That's
Direct
it.
contact
Break.
with what?
Direct contact with what is.
Now, wait, let's get the question clear. The brain has been accustomed to this sensory, imaginary movement. Not imagery movement, not imagination movement, imagery movement. Now, Pupulji asks, what will break this chain? That's the question, right, sir?
This is the basic question.
All right, that's very. Now, go discuss a little bit.
Because this is, we have.
What do you say, sir?
मैं आपकी इस दूसरी बात को स्वीकार कर कुछ प्रश्न करना चाहता हूँ। आप मुझसे तो व्यक्ति और समाज की भाषा छुड़वा दिए, लेकिन आपने स्वयं व्यक्ति की भाषा ग्रहण करना है कि व्यक्ति एक इमेज बनाता है, बाहर के प्रति इमेज बनाता है। इसका अर्थ यह हुआ कि संपूर्ण उत्तरदायित्व व्यक्ति पर है, बाहर किसी पर नहीं है। एक तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि इससे निकलता है।
Accept this as so.
I don't accept
No,
it. Don't accept it.
No, please see this. The implications are that everything that arises out of ourselves, out of the self.
That's so.
Out of the self. Nothing arises out of the outer challenge.
I said that.
Yes.
There is no outer and inner. There is only the brain responding to certain reaction, which is logic.
There is no outer and inner.
There is only the brain.
Yes. मैं एक अपनी बात को एक शायद गलत उदाहरण से मैं स्पष्ट करना चाहता हूँ। एक नट है जो दिखलाता है बाजार में, वो एक रस्सी यहाँ से वहाँ तक लगा देता है। दोनों के पोल नहीं है, रस्सी है, और उस रस्सी पर वो कहता है लड़के को चढ़ जाओ, उस पर चढ़ जाता है और वहाँ से यहाँ तक वो घूमने लगता है, वहाँ जाता है, यहाँ आता है। ये उसकी इमेज है। मान लें कोई पोल नहीं है, संकेत के।
आप मानते हैं कि कोई पोल नहीं है?
मैं नहीं मानता। अगर यह पोजीशन आ जाएगी।
नहीं, फादिया जी, सवाल तो ये है, हमारे अंदर में, in my mind,
जी,
the two poles are fixed.
जी,
तो ये जो उनका पोजीशन है वो मेरा पोजीशन नहीं है।
जी, तो
इसलिए ये खाली एक ही सवाल हो सकता है कि आप ये कह रहे हैं, ये स्वीकार करने के लिए भी आप कहिए क्या चैलेंज है, किस चीज के से ये दो पोल खंडित हो जाते हैं?
जी, इसके विपरीत यह मानना चाहिए, अगर माना जाए कि केवल एक तरफ से इमेज नहीं पैदा किया जाता, बल्कि बाहर से भी चैलेंज आता है। जैसे कृष्ण जी इस समय प्रवचन कर रहे हैं, हम सब लोग श्रोता हैं, एक ही बात नहीं समझ रहे हैं। जो कुछ कृष्ण जी कह रहे हैं ठीक वैसा ही हम नहीं समझ रहे हैं। अगर आप ही का होता तब हम जो आप समझाना चाहते हैं वही हम समझते, लेकिन हम भी कुछ हैं, हम भी कुछ बना रहे हैं।
सही, वही वो बात बता रहे हैं, क्योंकि जैसे हम लोग का पूरा प्रोग्राम हुआ ना, तो इसीलिए जो वो कह रहे हैं हम सब लोग अपनी बात वैसे ही समझ रहे हैं।
जी, तो इसलिए उत्तरदायित्व गलत समझने का, भिन्न समझने का उत्तरदायित्व कृष्ण जी का नहीं है, हम लोगों का भी है। इसलिए हम एक पोल हैं। जहाँ की बात जाती है.
If I may say so, what the question he poses is, what are you to us? You have stated this.
What?
You have made a statement. I listen. I listen. What you have said is not part of that movement of my brain.
What?
That there is no outer challenge.
No.
That the image is born out of the brain, image making machinery of the brain itself. That the self projects the images of the other, and then all that which you have said is not part of my brain.
Why?
It's not.
Why?
It's something
No,
new to me.
No.
So he says that it's programmed differently.
It's
being interpreted differently.
No. What are we talking about?
The question is, what is your relationship to me or to Jagannath Upadhyayji or to X? Are you not a challenge to me? And therefore, is it not something
What do you mean by you?
Krishnaji? Is Krishnaji's statement of what he has been saying, which I am listening to, not a challenge to this very brain itself?
It is.
If it is so...
Wait, I know what you're going to say, yes.
If it is so, then there is a movement which is other than the movement.
Wait. K makes a statement. It's a challenge to you only when you can respond to it. Otherwise, it's not a challenge. Right?
I don't get that.
That is certain. You see, somebody is walking on the road, makes no impression on me, there is no record. Therefore, there is no response.
I'm listening to him.
No, listen. There is a possibility of something happening and my not responding in any way. There is another that he says something and immediately it evokes
A reaction.
a reaction.
Now, I want to challenge you. Right? That's my life. I want to challenge you. How do you respond to the challenge? Either as a Buddhist, as a Christian, as a Hindu Muslim, or as a politician, as a blah, blah, blah. So, how do you respond to a challenge? Either you respond at the same intensity as the challenge, or you don't respond at all. Capito. I'm speaking Italian. You pose a challenge to me. I either understand the challenge, respond to it as intensely as your challenge, or it doesn't affect me at all. To meet a challenge, you and I must face each other. Right? Not bodily, but face each other.
You see, then he goes further and says, if you are a challenge, then why are you denying that there can be a challenge from the outer?
Entirely different.
This is the question. You say...
I've got it. The outside challenge is the challenge which thought has created. I don't know if I make that clear. Right? Achiji? You're not sure? Let's begin again. The communist challenges the believer. The communist is a believer. And therefore is challenging another belief. So it becomes a protection, a reaction against another belief. That's not a challenge.
That's not.
That's not a challenge.
I agree. I have no
Now,
difficulty in that.
this man has no belief, no all that,
No stance.
and from that point he challenges, which is entirely different from the challenge from the outside, from the communist. I don't know if I made that clear.
What is this challenge of what you call, which is the challenge of the no center? If you might say.
That is the
challenge of the no center.
if you challenge me because you are challenging my reputation, my blah, 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 then I react to it. Because I'm protecting the image which I have about myself. And you are challenging out of your image about you, etc. It's a challenge between two images thought has created. Right? But if you challenge me, which is the challenge of absoluteness, vous avez compris? I mean, you understand? It's entirely different. If Upas challenges me, Upadhyaya, Mr. Upadhyaya challenges me, and I'm a Buddhist or a Hindu, his challenge is a process of defending, contracting, and attacking. Right? And when he challenges me, if I'm a Hindu, Buddhist, whatever it is, it's the same process going on. This is not a challenge. A challenge is from something totally different. It's a challenge to a politician who is absorbed in nationalism, said, rot. Nationalism is the very destruction of humanity. He says, was off. To him it's not a challenge because he's merely living in a fortress and refuses any attack. I don't know if I made my point clear.
Sir, I think we need to go back to
corruption.
No, yes, we started because
I'm willing to go back to corruption.
How do you break this chain?
No, Populji, will you say?
I'll answer that.
Sir, my brain responds to the image-making machinery of the other in the same way as the challenge created by a person like you. Does it respond in the same way?
Yes.
That is the difficulty.
The whole point is that one can answer one. Does it respond? And if it responds, it is part of the same thing. But the thing which I really, Krishnaji, how is it that this movement
To end. That's what you have been saying.
Yes.
How is this cycle of, let's be clear, cycle of experience, knowledge, memory, thought, action. Action again coming back to knowledge. This is the circle in which we are caught. Right, sir? I don't clear.
Causation, it's really asking that how is the stream of causation?
I'm going to go into, but I want first to be clear on this matter.
से गुजर रहा है फिर दूसरी तरफ से लौट करके उस व्यक्ति के पास आता है कि
व्यक्ति की वो जो खाली
नहीं, वो तो सारा प्रोसेस, ये सब प्रोसेस वहाँ गया.
This process goes, you have taken it to action. Challenge, sensation, perception, etc. Action.
Learn from that action.
From that, no,
Back again, knowledge.
no, yes, that you learn from that action. Does that learning of that action return and get stored to?
Of course,
Yes.
obviously. Obviously. This is what we are doing.
जो जाता है वही लौटता है कि जाता है भिन्न दूसरा और आता है वह फिर.
This is a.
I understand.
It acts in between. Many causes have
I
flown
agree.
in.
Now wait with all this. Listen, Prabhuji, it's fairly clear.
अगर कुछ भी भिन्न आता है तो उधर से प्रभावित हो रहा है,
Yes, it's being
बाहर से
constantly
प्रभावित हो
Constant
रहा है.
flux.
The whole thing which comes back and is stored again.
Not comes back.
No,
May I
in
say
that
something?
sense. Is
You have been saying that the program works this way: experience, knowledge, memory, thought, action. Action, further strengthening experience. The whole cycle is repeated.
That's all. That's
Now,
what I'm saying.
What I am suggesting is, whatever the flux
Is within that.
that is included in this curriculum.
Curriculum. You're perfectly right.
The flux.
मैं समझ रहा हूँ कि एक क्रम से जब वो एक्शन तक पहुँचता है तो वहाँ से फिर एक दूसरे रूप में कुछ नया बन करके फिर वह यहाँ तक आता है.
हाँ, हो सकता है.
वो आता है, यह इसी चक्र में, यह जो चक्र है, इस चक्र से के दो बिंदु हो जाते हैं. एक जाना, एक लौटना. जो जाता है वही नहीं लौटता, उसमें कुछ विशेष होकर लौटता है. वो जो विशेष है, यह विशेषता क्या है, वो बाहर से आता है.
मुझे ऐसा समझ, what I understand, the whole thinking process of Upadhyaya ji is just on fixed. There is inner and there is an outer, which you have already fixed there, and you just repeating this. So if we think it just above this, then perhaps more easier to understand.
I don't know. I just want to say one or two things. You are not denying the reality of the outer world. You are not denying the reality of the outer world. No, I think first there is nature. There are human beings.
And war.
There are things. All this is real.
And war is real.
War, everything is real.
Nationality.
So the other person is real. But what you are implying is that because of this image-making process and this circuitry which is repeating itself all the time, there is really no contact, but only contact with our own imagery.
And yes.
And this makes for no contact, A, and B, it also makes for a lot of mischief.
That's all.
Basically, don't you see what it implies? It implies it that at no point is there real freedom.
There's no freedom.
Because we quote in this There is no freedom.
But what I'm trying to, this does not deny the existence of the outer world. That we must clear. Otherwise we go to me and the society.
You're not denying.
No, I want to get clarification on this.
Of course, I'm not denying. We are not denying that.
We are not denying the outer world as an illusion.
Huh?
We are not denying the outer world, the reality of the outer world as an illusion. We are not denying the reality of the outer world.
Not at all.
You are not denying the reality of the outer world as things, but you are denying the reality of the outer world as persons.
No.
And no, you are gone off something else.
You are denying the reality of the images my mind has made of the outer world.
Yes, sir. Achuji, come on, sir.
मेरी वह बात स्पष्ट हो जाए कि जब वो लौटता है, मैं मान लिया कि जिसने इमेज किया है वही सारा उत्तरदायी है, यह मानकर, लेकिन वो वहाँ तक गया एक कारण परंपरा से वहाँ तक गया। फिर जब वह लौटता है तो नए अनुभव, नई इच्छा, नया वो करके एक नया अनुभव लेकर लौटता है। यह जो विशेष है, यह जो कुछ जो पहले नहीं था वह है, वो कहाँ से आया?
उपाध्याय जी, मैं आपको एक चीज पूछूंगी। जो एक्यूमुलेटेड नॉलेज है, तो एक्यूमुलेशन कैसे हुआ? ये एडिशन से ही हुआ। ये जो एडिशनैलिटी है, जो एक्रीशन है, जो एक दिन आप हरा फल देखते हैं, दूसरे दिन पीला होता है, ये जो पीला उसका रंग है, जो इम्पैक्ट होता है और वापस आता है, वो पीला जो हरा ऊपर बैठ जाता है, वो एक नई चीज है, पर तब भी नॉलेज का एक आकार बन जाता है।
Sir, all that I am saying is, knowledge as we exist now, psychological knowledge, is the corruption of the mind, brain. And he says, please, I understand this process very well, which is, we experience all that. How is that chain to be broken? That is the central issue.
That is right.
Right?
I think that is the central issue.
Central. Which is corrupting the brain and therefore corrupting the world.
That is right.
Corrupting the rivers, corrupting the skies, corrupting relation. It's corrupting everything. Right. How is this chain of whatever you call it to be broken? Why do you ask that question?
Sir, Achyutji's question then is a
No,
question.
I'm asking a question. Why do you want to break this chain? That's a logical question, a valid question. Why?
Because basically there seems to be conflict and pain.
Huh?
Because basically there is a feeling of conflict within oneself.
Of
The feeling of
which is,
the feeling of
and I said this important question, just go into a little bit more. Has the breaking of the chain a cause, a motive? If it has, you're back in the same chain. That's all my point. Right, sir?
Yes.
No, not agree. Just see. I mean, to me,
see, sir. I say.
No, sir. On the contrary, just. It is causing me pain, therefore I want to be out of it. If it's causing me pleasure, I say, please leave me alone. Now, just a minute, sir. Let me finish. You'll have your turn. So I must be very clear in myself. I can't persuade you to be clear in myself that I have no direction or motive or hope out of this. Right? I must be absolutely clear. Are we? Huh? Then what are we playing at?
Suppose, sorry sir.
Look, sir, you're a lawyer. I come to you. You want all the facts from me as your client. The truth. Right? And you say, what's your motive also? It's the same thing here.
May I ask a question?
Sorry.
Because it's, in many ways, it's central to the, it's central, and people keep asking the question, how it is that one can break, and I can see the answer also in some way that you give. But can I ask this question? Is it possible, given each one of us, given the brains that we have, given the brains that I have,
no. You see, you have already started on the wrong foot.
Right, but I am conscious of myself as it is. May I only ask a question in this way? Is it basically a way of looking at things? No, it's not.
This is a fact.
It is not. Is it a matter of reason? No. No. It's not certain things.
Huh?
It is not a matter of logic.
It's not a matter of logic. It's not a matter of analysis.
It's not a matter of analysis.
It's not a matter of. Wait a minute, sir. Don't brush it off so quickly. You see.
It's not a matter of logic.
No.
No.
It's a matter of plain observation of what's going on.
Without the image.
Huh?
Without the mind forming an image.
No, sir. No.
No.
The point is this. The brain is the center of all the sensory responses. Right? The sensory responses, which has created memory, the experience, thought, all that, thought, action, and it's caught in that. And the brain being caught in that, which is, I won't go into it, which is partial. It's never complete. Right? And therefore is polluting everything it does. My relationship, my everything it does. If you admit that once, as a fact, not as a theory, not as, right? Right? Then how is that circle to be broken? That's the whole point, which we're all asking.
So maybe I might throw some light if I asked you a question. And that is, practically every teaching which has been concerned with the meditative processes has regarded the senses as an obstruction
Yes,
ending
yes,
of,
I don't.
or the breaking
no,
through.
Of course, you can't. I mean,
so I'm asking you, what role
R-O-L-E.
R-O-L-E, do you give to the senses in freeing the mind? You see, no. You see, I understand. I'm maybe putting it wrongly.
Yes.
But what role do you give the senses? Full stop.
That's all. Full stop.
I think, Populji, you are not correct in saying that all of them have regarded the senses as obstructive, because when they said senses, they included the mind.
No, but they also regarded the senses.
But they never separated the mind from the senses.
Maybe they did not separate, but after all austerities, all tapas, all yogic practices were, as I have understood, I may have been wrong, but to see that that movement of the sense out towards object was destroyed.
No, I don't know what the ancients...
What do you say?
I don't know what the ancients have said.
No, what do you say?
I think that perhaps our understanding of at least some movements in, this is a purely historical interpretation and not in terms of our discussion, that at least in what is broadly called the Hindu, or I wouldn't say even Hindu, but I would say ancient Indian thought, the senses are not to be denied.
Then what is their
That is very crucial to the whole culture. And if since we are, I think that, and where he began, that the first thing is the sensory perception. If you go back to this image that we have spoken about several times of the Katha Upanishad, Atmanam Rathinam, that no chariots move without horses. Horses are primary.
Senses are primary.
Senses are primary. And therefore they are not to be destroyed. They are to be understood, controlled.
Controlled.
I'm sorry for imprecision, I'm sorry for imprecision. But they are not to be destroyed. I mean, they're primary. They are like the fact, as he says, of the outer reality. He is not denying the.
No, that is. I'm trying to get. I'm saying, what is the role of the senses?
That is fine.
You see, maybe my interpretation of the Indian position is incorrect. I'll withdraw it. But
I'll tell you. The senses, if thought, which creates desire, I don't know if I'm making myself clear, if the senses, without the interference of thought, with its image about the senses, then the senses have very little importance.
Senses have very little importance.
Wait a minute, let me explain. Little more, go slowly. I'm exploring myself. I'm clear about it, but the expression, and to put it into language a little bit, the senses have their place, right? If you put a pin, I must react. If I see a beautiful tree, I mean, it's a beauty. The beauty of a tree is astonishing. If I see a woman, if I'm inclined sensual responses, Now, where does desire interfere with senses? That is the whole point. Not whether the senses are important or unimportant. Where desire begins. If one understands that, sensory, you say, yes, why such colossal importance to it, or not important? What? Have I slipped out of it? Right? No, I'm slipping.
It sounds as if a little bit that you are contradicting yourself. It sounds as if you are contradicting yourself.
No, I'll show it to you.
No, sir. Because you have said, not just now, but you have said that if you can observe with all your senses.
That's it.
Therefore, you can't deny importance to the senses.
No, I did not deny it. You have misunderstood that. Now, I said careful. I said if one responds to that tree, look at it, with that sunlight on it after the rain, it is full of beauty.
Yes.
I respond, when there is total response to that, There is no me, there is no thought, there is no center from which it is responding.
Yes.
That is beauty. Not the painting, not the poem, not the rest. The total response of all your senses to that. We can't, we don't. Because thought creates the image from which a desire arises. Then that desire becomes all the rest of it. There is no contradiction.
If I may ask Upadhyayji, how would the Buddhists regard the senses? I would be very interested to know what is the place of the senses in Buddhist Rinpoche.
Buddhist or a Vedantist or a Christian or... Go on, sir, go on. I was only joking, sir. Go on.
आप तो दोनों हैं, वेदांताचार्य बौद्ध दर्शनाचार्य, दोनों बताइए, आप बताइए।
वेदांत में तो दृष्टा के बिना दर्शन नहीं हो सकता। दृष्टा होना चाहिए।
Without the observer, there can be no observation. That is
जी।
according to Vedanta, without the observer, there can be no observation.
That's nonsense. I mean,
हाँ, एक प्रश्न है कि जब दृष्टि है तो दृष्टि बिना दृष्टा के नहीं हो सकती, इसलिए दृष्टि है तो दृष्टा है, जब दृष्टा नहीं है तो दृष्टि भी नहीं है। यह तार्किक प्रश्न खड़ा हो जाता है वहाँ। यद्यपि वे इस बात की कोशिश करते हैं कि दृष्टा में जो दृष्टित्व है वह भी न रहे लेकिन दर्शन रहे, तो एक प्रकार से दृष्टित्व न रहे यानी आत्मा शुद्ध रूप में रहे, और ऐसी स्थिति में दर्शन और आत्मा अभिन्न है, एक है।
वेदांत
वेदांत
Translator.
Precisely.
Please.
Madam, please.
I think it's quite clear that he's making the Vedantic position in terms of the observer, the observed. There cannot be any observation unless there is the observer. And this is the first proposition. The second proposition is that out of the observer and that which is observed, it produces, here he uses the word darshan, and that which is in, but I mean darshan as he's using it as a definitional term here. He's not using it as and this is within the framework of Vedanta that he has used that word darshan.
It's a philosophy.
Yes, it's a philosophy. And that therefore the darshan and the atma then become undivisible. This is what is
The Buddhist.
बुद्धिस्ट प्रारंभ होता है, दर्शन तभी हो सकता है जब दृष्टा न हो।
There is is only seeing when the seer is not.
What?
There is seeing only when the seer is not.
Of course.
दृष्टा है तो दर्शन ही है, दर्शन से भिन्न दृष्टा है.
There is no difference between seer and seeing.
The observer is the observer.
Is the observer. That's right.
Right, sir?
That's it. That's it.
Now, sir, now just look what is happening here. We stick to the Vedantist attitude, and the Buddhist attitude. We don't move out of that field at all. Right, sir? I'm not criticizing him or anything. No, let's come back to Vedanta. Now, this is the whole point. The brain is caught in this movement. This movement is time. This movement is the movement of thought. Right, sir? And you're asking, how is that chain which is built by thought? And thought, please see, thought being limited itself, because born of knowledge, and knowledge is incomplete always, never can be complete. Therefore, thought is incomplete. Therefore, the chain created by thought is incomplete. Right, sir? Just let me. Huh?
The chain created by thought is incomplete.
Of course.
Because knowledge is
Knowledge has created this chain. Put it in a different way. Huh? Right? Then you ask the question, how is the chain to break? Now just a minute, careful. We must go into this carefully. Who is asking this question?
The prisoner is asking. The prisoner is asking.
You are that.
Quite so.
So who is asking the question?
The same person who thought that knowledge was incomplete.
You are missing the point.
That which is itself incomplete
is asking itself.
Yes.
Is asking itself.
That which is thought.
Wait. Are you quite sure?
Otherwise.
No, don't just look at it. The brain is caught in this. Is the brain asking the question? Or desire is asking the question, which says, I must get out of it. Am I right? Achuji, you look doubtful. I don't ask the question. See the difference? I don't ask the question.
That is better.
Huh?
That is better.
What?
That is better. That I understand.
Wait, I'm not sure we understand each other.
Sir, when you said, is the brain asking that question or the desire asking that question?
Which is the brain?
That is the brain. That is why I bogged. That's why I was bogged and I kept quiet. Because
I don't ask the question.
I saw that.
And
when you said I don't ask that question, but I only observe this.
No, I'm not. You follow, you're going ahead of me.
Don't we ask the question? I ask the question.
If you see the situation.
Achuji, careful, be careful. If you see, that's again your extra 2 inches. There is only this chain.
There is this chain.
That's all.
That's all we know.
No. There is only that chain. Right? Don't ask the question.
See?
Moment you ask the question, you're trying to find an answer. You're not looking at the chain. I don't know if I'm making clear. No, you are not. You are the chain. Right? You are that. You can't ask any question. I'm coming to the next point, which is what happens when you do that. When you do that, there is no movement. Right? Am I right?
ये जो सवाल, ये जो
He's got it.
The movement has created this. I don't know if you... And when there is no movement, that ends. There's a totally different dimension going on. So I have to begin by not asking the question, but is the chain a fact to me? Fact. Thing I see it in operation in daily life. And this chain is desire. Desire in the sense, sensory responses. If all the senses respond, there is no desire. Of course. But only when the sensory responses are partial, then thought comes in, creates the image. From that image arises desire. Then all the stuff begins. So, is this a fact to me as pain is a fact that this is the chain the brain works in. Whatever it does, it must operate in this. Politically, religiously, it must operate within that area.
I have a question, sir, which is,
Huh?
I understand very much what you have been saying, and my own question is really how to stay more in touch with that observation.
how to stay in more touch with that observation.
How to?
Stay in touch with that observation.
The conditioning is so
So,
strong that...
so look, I have physical pain, I immediately take a pill, right? Go to a doctor and so on. The same process is operating. You follow? I wonder if I may. Have I made it clear, sir? The process of physical pain, doctor, pill, that same movement is taken over by the psyche. The psyche says, what am I to do? Give me a pill, a way out. But physical pain I can deal with, pill or doctor. But psychological pain, which is this, the brain says that is it. I won't move from there. It is so. Moment you say I want to get out, then problem. I don't know if this is separate.
So I think 11:30.
What? 11:30? 11? Good, 2 hours. Please, sirs, I am not a Delphic oracle. As we said, skeptical research, skeptical investigation is the true spiritual process. Right, sir? It's true religion. if you can say, not all the rest of it.